There's a vast range of horrors out there, some of them not really safe for the mild-mannered. Today's picks for the Best in Horror Countdown 2023-2024 deal with some kinks and perversions stretched across the canvas of horror. I can't stress enough how impressed I am at the 13 Cameras trilogy and how it all worked out. While most likely there won't be another, as its star, Neville Archambault, passed away not long ago, this trilogy of films about the horrors of voyeurism will go down as one of the best. At number 15 is 15 Cameras. It was released on October 13th, 2023, and is streaming on Tubi and Amazon Prime from Gravitas Ventures. It's directed by Danny Madden and written by PJ McCabe. One might have thought the creepy slumlord, Neville Archambault, was done for good. At least that's what the authorities believed when they found the creeper's van burned to a crisp in the middle of nowhere. But his legacy lives on as a Netflix-style show based on the events of the first two Cameras films becomes the obsession for Skye, played by Angela Wong Carbone, who, with her husband Cam, played by Will Madden, has purchased one of the slumlord's old homes to renovate. While repairing the water heater, Cam stumbles upon a hidden lair of the slumlord in the walls of their duplex. At first he wants to report it, but when he is able to access the cameras planted throughout the building, Cam becomes obsessed with watching his neighbors and his own wife through the cameras. Cam's obsession with voyeurism grows, putting him in more dangerous situations when a pair of college gals move into the duplex next door. And outside, a very familiar van has been lurking around the neighborhood. With the death of Neville Archambault, one would think the 13 Cameras films would have come to an end. But though he doesn't appear in 15 Cameras, he's all over the movie in spirit through footage from previous movies and maybe a little camera trickery here and there. Instead, the second sequel focuses on how Archambault's slumlord might have started out, as 15 Cameras is all about the temptation of voyeurism and how that can become an addiction. This is a very smart way of continuing the series, though the way they end this one makes me think this one could be the final nail in the coffin for this surprisingly good series. At least I hope so it ends on a high note. The film slowly and meticulously maps out Cam's fall from normal dude to twisted perv, told pretty much solely from Cam's point of view, and I realize the name Cam isn't a mistake, but a somewhat clever pun about the title of the film itself. This allows us to sort of understand why Cam might become addicted to watching people, as it slowly takes over his entire life, leading him to riskier and riskier behavior as the secret camera room is inside the duplex he has rented out to the two college gals. So Cam must sneak into the apartment to see the footage. Yes, that's creepy as all get out, but how many of you have wondered what your neighbor was up to? And what would you do if you had a chance to check them out? This film forces you to ask those questions. Shades of Rear Window begin to pop up as it seems someone might just be stalking the house, and Cam begins to think it's the slumlord. Meanwhile, Skye is continuing to obsess about the Netflix series about the slumlord, playing junior detective and hypothesizing that the creeper may still be alive. That's a whole lot of intersecting plot lines, but the filmmaker behind this one, director Danny Madden, and writer PJ McCabe, who starred in the first 13 Cameras, juggle these plot lines with ease. What could have been a messy movie with all of these differing motivations and obsessions really played out in a cohesive and intelligent way. The acting is surprisingly good here. Will Madden does a good job walking the line of sympathetic middle-aged man facing a midlife crisis and cretinous perv. Yes, he does some despicable things, but somehow manages to stay likable for the most part, which is no easy feat given the things we see him do. And Angela Wong Carbone is mesmerizing as Skye, who is innocent and somewhat naive as to what is going on with her husband, but drawn to the mystery of the slumlord like a moth to a flame. Both of these actors are high caliber and sell some difficult emotional scenes in 15 cameras. Finally, it's great to see Jim Cummings make a cameo in the documentary footage. It seems a lot of the actors and people behind the camera are part of Cummings' crew, and the quality of his films, as well as some of the wry wit you find in them, definitely rubs off a lot on 15 cameras. I found 14 cameras to teeter a bit too far into the torture genre, as we find out what the slumlord does to his victims after he's finished with them. 15 cameras leans more towards the psychologically horrific original 13 cameras, and I think I like it a little bit better than the sequel. With the passing of Archambault, I would hope this film would be a good way to end the series, as this one seems to be dedicated to the monstrously iconic Tor Johnson-esque actor. 15 cameras circles back on itself in an almost perfect way. It's a highly accomplished sequel that remembers what made the first 13 cameras so chilling. While not all the shorts in this anthology are winners, they all are nice and pervy, so it deserves to have a mention on this countdown, especially paired with 15 cameras. Midnight Peep Show was released on February 13th, 2024, and is available on demand and digital download from Dark Star Pictures. It's directed by Andy Edwards, Airell Anthony Hayles, Ludovica Musumeci, and Jake West. It's written by Andy Edwards, Airell Anthony Hayles, and Jake West. Midnight Peep Show highlights the kinkier side of horror with an anthology focused on sexual deviance from some very twisted filmmakers. Reminiscent of the anthology Little Deaths from nearly a decade ago, an anthology definitely worth looking up, Midnight Peep Show is a sick and twisted little affair dealing with all kinds of stuff that is not for those with sensitive dispositions. The wraparound concerns a down-and-out businessman who stumbles into a seedy part of town and finds a business called the Midnight Peep Show, kind of like the name of this movie. This guy pays for a gander at one of the booths, and it turns out each booth babe has a devious story to tell, making up the 3 stories of Midnight Peep Show. Ludovica Musumeci has only directed a few short films, but the filmmaker does a decent job with this story, interlacing the 3 tales together and making everything look and feel consistent like any good wraparound segment should. Airell Anthony Hayles directed Werewolf Santa and They're Outside and handles the first segment called Personal Space, which deals with a cuckold situation that is bound to make some squirm, as it really doesn't hold back in the humiliation. This sordid affair has a surprise or two, but really is just a run-of-the-mill situation that you've seen play out if you've happened to find yourself on some popular porn sites. Or at least, that's what I hear. F. Marry Kill is from the director of Punch and the upcoming Cinderella's Revenge, Andy Edwards, and while it repeats the uncomfortability of the cuckold situation, it does so in a much more sort of lighthearted way as a woman finds herself collared and strapped in a room with 3 former suitors, with whom she has to decide which one to F, marry, or kill. This segment is a Saw riff where an unseen voice guides the woman through the rules of the game. By the way, that unseen voice is Zach Galligan from Gremlins, though I didn't really recognize his voice. I found F, Marry, Kill to be just okay as well, though it seemed to have less of a perverted tone and more of a comical one, as all 3 of the former suitors, of course, are not too happy to see each other at the mercy of this woman's preferences. The saving grace of Midnight Peep Show is Black Rabbit by Jake West, who is responsible for such great indie films as Razorblade Smile, Evil Aliens, Doghouse, and one of the sequels to Pumpkinhead, Ashes to Ashes. West tells an expansive little story in a very short time. This one deals with some really complex issues in terms of intimacy and how the spark of one's marriage fades after time. Sarah Diamond stars as a dissatisfied housewife who finds that when her husband pays for sex, it excites her. But when her husband refuses to give in to her kink after he's done it a couple of times, she seeks thrills elsewhere, leading her down a very demented rabbit hole of prostitution, S&M, and finally to a dark web snuff room. This could have been made into a feature-length film, as I was riveted to the plot from beginning to end. The monster known as Black Rabbit is horrifying, and while I definitely got some Hostel and Serbian film vibes, this short keeps its dignity intact by saving the gratuitous violence to the very, very end. And whoa, what an ending. I would recommend Midnight Peep Show for that final segment alone. The first two serve as decent lead-ins to the main course, but it's Jake West's segment that steals the show. It's perverted stuff, but it's also good, mature, and twisted horror that is a nice detour from the safe horror that permeates the genre these days. All in all, if you don't have any issue with having your boundaries pushed, Midnight Peep Show exists to kink up your horror real nice-like. Once again and always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks. Please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're